and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 1 English lesson on context clues. So, we're doing our grade 1 English lesson on context clues. And before we start, we're going to log into aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged into aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts. And then grade 1. So once we've selected the subject of language arts, grade 1, and then we're going to select the subject, then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of context clues. So context clues. And we're going to find out what context clues are. But if we look at the word clues, right? And then clues, it's like almost like they are giving you some form of idea already, right? Like clues, mystery, that type of thing. All right. So we're doing the chapter of context clues, the subject of language arts, as well as English, grade 1. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under context clues is to use context to identify the meaning of the word. So we're going to use context to identify the meaning of the word. And it's like I was saying, like context clues, right? Or the word clues, it's like similar to almost like giving you some form of ideas, right? So if you don't know the meaning of a word, and then basically you look for context clues, right? It's like you kind of look for clues of, or that will give you some form of idea of what the meaning of a specific word might be. And context clues are nearby words that help you figure out the meaning of a specific word, specifically new words. And context clues, it's like hints, right? That either the author gives to help define a difficult or an unusual word. So the author doesn't necessarily have to be the author of the book, but if we think of the author, then we specifically think of either someone that is either writing something but okay, like we also say writing a book, right? And we're trying to figure out what the writer or sometimes what the speaker is trying to tell us. So context clues, it is like some form of hints that the author might give us. And this will help to define, right? It's like where we find the meaning of it. To be define a difficult word or an unusual word. And most times it is sometimes unusual words because of how expressive the authors might be. And the clues that may appear within the same sentence as the word to which it refers, or it may follow in the proceedings of the sentence. So basically, it's like they're saying the ideas, the hints, the clues, it's sometimes within that very same sentence that is given to us. And it's given to us within that same sentence. And that is how we sometimes, or it will basically help us to either define a difficult word or an unusual word. That is why I say it's like giving you some form of hint. So if we look at an example, right, of context clues and some form of ideas or hints or something that that the author basically gives us, right, to define either difficult words or unusual words. And usually the difficult or unusual words, right, like I say, it is the words that the author use to express him or herself. So basically, if we look at the word, at this one sentence, the sentence is Megan was glum when her best friend moved away. Glum, right? So now it's like sometimes you ask yourself, like, glum. I've like never heard of the word glum. So if they say Megan was glum when her best friend moved away, before we even get to the meaning of the word, it's like asking yourself, how would you feel if your best friend had to move away? And that is why we say there's context clues. There's clues given to us within the sentence that will basically tell us what the meaning of that word actually is. Or similarly, so it says Megan was glum. There's the word glum when her best friend moved away. And like I say, like how would you feel if your best friend had to move away? Your best friend is either leaving the town, leaving city, right? Or the city, and you're probably not gonna see them for a very long time. So now the question is, how would you actually feel? So basically, glum, right? It says that this person would feel glum, or Megan would feel glum when her best friend moves away, right? So now it's like we're asking, how would you feel if your best friend had to move away? So it's basically you'll feel sad, right? Or you'll be unhappy, but mainly sad. So basically, that is like I say, it is a context clue. It is some form of clue that gives the helper, the author, or basically that the author gives us to define a difficult word. Because glum is a difficult word, specifically because we've never heard or never used the word glum. So glum is the word that the author used to express himself within a sentence, but yet within the rest of the sentence, clues are being given, like for example, when her best friend moved away, clues are given to help define either a difficult word or an unusual word, especially like glum. So we said that if your best friend had to move away, you'd feel sad or unhappy, right? So basically, we can then guess that the meaning of the word glum, it means sad. So basically, glum means sad. And that is based on the clues or the hints that was given to us by the author. If we look at another word, right? He said sorry, but I was still irate. So he said sorry, but I was still irate. So a clue that is given is he said sorry. So they are giving us the context clue, which is, for example, he said sorry. And our word that we need to define is irate. So in our sentence, it says, he said sorry, but I was still irate. So he said sorry, but I was still irate. And like I say, these are the words that the author gives because the author expresses him or herself when they are writing. So words that basically come to the author's mind, the author would use within the book or within wherever to express him or herself. But now in this sentence, the context clue that is given to us, it says, he said sorry, but I was still irate. So how would you feel? So it's basically you asking yourself, how would you feel? So even though someone says sorry, so if they say someone says sorry, right? He said sorry, but I was still irate. then it's definitely to do with something or someone either being angry or frustrated, right? Because sometimes people might, like they would say, push your buttons, right, and make you angry. So even though they say sorry, but your feelings are still valid in the sense of this is still how you feel. And irate, if we look at the word irate, irate means that you are still angry. Or that is basically the guessing that we would do, right? Because they're specifically saying he said sorry, but I was still irate. And irate is a word that is used by the author to express him or herself. So these are called context clues, right? And if we specifically look at these two sentences on the right, clues are being given to basically tell us what the meaning of the words are. We just need to ask ourselves, how would I feel? What would I do? Because now clues are given to kind of wrap our head around the idea of how we do actually feel. And that basically will link to the specific word. And we are doing our lesson on aplusstudents.ca. We are doing our lesson on aplusstudents.ca. All right, so now let's go to aplusstudents.ca. And when we are about aplusstudents.ca, we said it's language arts, grade one, and we are now at the chapter of context clues. So we're going into the lesson that says we need to use context to identify the meaning of the word. So they're basically going to give us context in order for us to identify the meaning of certain words. And if you don't know the meaning of a specific word, you need to look at the context clues. It's like we were saying that there are hints and clues within the sentence that will basically tell us what these words really mean. Right? And context clues are nearby words that would help you figure out the meaning of a new word. So, context clues will basically help you to find out the meaning of a new word. And here are a few examples.